I'd like to talk about grief after miscarriage. But before I do that, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Ghazala at the Heart and Soul Cafe. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're here for the very first time, then you're very, very welcome. So let's talk about grief after miscarriage. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this topic is that just recently I have been supporting and counselling young women who have experienced miscarriage. The thing with miscarriage is that people around that person don't necessarily see. They don't necessarily see a pregnancy. So it depends on at what stage that lady had her miscarriage. If it was very early on, people aren't going to sort of see anything because sometimes that person hasn't even shared that they're expecting. So it can be quite an intense grief on the basis that others maybe aren't there to support that person, on the basis that they didn't even know, or they don't actually put much significance on it because that child wasn't born, that child didn't come into the world. That makes things quite complicated because the person feels that loss, feels that emptiness, feels that they've probably gone through, sometimes they've gone through very traumatic birth. They have to actually deliver the child, and that in itself can be traumatic. But then usually what happens is that you receive, you have a baby in your arms. But in this instance, it's not that doesn't happen. So you maybe return home with this complete and utter gaping hole, this emptiness, and feeling all the physical pain and the mental pain, psychological, emotional pain. But others may be not recognizing that because it was a miscarriage. And sometimes in some cultures, it's seen as, well, why are you grieving? This child wasn't even born. This child didn't enter the world. And they just don't have there's a lack of understanding how it may feel for the person who's experienced it. So it can be very much a case of hidden grief, of where people just aren't acknowledging it. And so the person who's experiencing grief is very much isolated, and grief in itself can feel very isolating anyway. And if it's this sort of situation where that person feels that it's not being acknowledged by others, and sometimes in some cultures, I also know that you could even think that it's disenfranchised grief, on the basis that people feel, well, that's not worthy of grieving. Why are you grieving? You can have more children. You can, go on. This child didn't come into the world. It wasn't meant to be, that kind of thing. And when you say things like that to somebody who's experienced a miscarriage, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. It's not that that person says, oh, just, carry on and you can have more children. And you think, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't think of that. Actually, yeah, I'll just do that. It doesn't take the pain away. It doesn't mean that, it's suddenly at the click of a finger, everything's over. You still have to go through the process of processing and feeling and acknowledging what it is that you have felt and what you are feeling and what you are experiencing, and that's the loss and that's the grief and all the symptoms that grief brings with it. You still have to process them, still have to go through them. I think it's probably quite important, again, at that time to, if you're not getting that support at home, is to reach out. Maybe, even professional help, even a counsellor, something that you feel, if you feel that you need that, it's important to reach out. There's lots of charities out there. And I know about that. Just recently I went, I've shared in another video, I was at a bereavement charity conference. And, there was charities there that actually deal with that. So if you, reach out and have a look, you will probably find that, there is help out there, free help out there. There's help out there that you don't even have to pay for. People that, befriend us who can, guide you. And, they're not going to take it away, but the thing is, they are going to listen. And that's what you need, because sometimes when we are experiencing some kind of grief, loss, it might be, marriage, it might be, and in this case, it's, miscarriage. Sometimes we do need to just keep talking about it, to process it, to help, come to terms with the reality of it. And coming to accept things is a process that we usually do by talking about it. It might be talking about it again and again and again. And if that's what you need, that's what you need to do. And that's your way of processing and feeling and acknowledging, and then hopefully, coming to a point where you sort of make your peace with it. And that happens naturally. And there's no time scale on there. There's no stopwatch saying that, oh, this is when you're going to feel it, and today's the day. It's not like that. You need to take your own time. And, the grieving stages it's not linear. You might be backwards and forwards, just like any other loss. It's just the same. You have had a loss. Yeah. So please don't, be struggling in silence. Please don't feel that no one gets me, I can't share this with anyone, because no one's really around me is actually putting any kind of importance on it. They're just sort of saying, oh, just get on with it. It's all right, it's gone, it's finished. Just try again. And if people around you have that kind of mindset or attitude towards it, then it's really important that you reach out and you get someone, someone who will listen to you, someone who will speak to you, someone who will, help you through this. And that's what you need. And that's what you need. If you think that, in the future, you're hopefully going to try again and have a child, you want to be in a place where you feel mentally well enough to do that, because, having a child is physically, demanding, and mentally, psychologically, emotionally demanding, because you worry about every single little thing. And then again, the other thing is that when you are, hopefully in the future expecting again, that might be again in a time that you need a little bit of support, because you might be riddled with fear. What if it happens again? What if it happens again? And if you are going through a pregnancy thinking that, then that is going to add on to your stress levels and cortisol, and you don't want any extra. There's already things that women worry about while they're expecting, and you don't want that add-on of because of your past experiences. So that might be a time again that you need to sort of reach out. And again, the charities that shared the other day in London shared that that's what they do. They do that. They will be there for someone who's expecting again, who's experienced, miscarriages, maybe one miscarriage or multiple miscarriages, and they're there to sort of guide and help and be in support, so that you don't feel alone in that, and that you've got someone there. So I think it really is important. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this video. I do appreciate it. If you feel that someone may, benefit from watching this video, please do share it. Please do like, subscribe, and comment. I look forward to listening to, have you, to see you on the next video. Until then, look after your hearts and souls. Thank you.